And, it seems like there were some attempts to respond to this kind of men in the church through different ministries that
Hmm.
came along. And again, a lot of these were
Yeah.
before my day,
Hmm.
but it seems so. The Promise Keepers were the most
Hmm.
famous one.
Hmm. Yes.
Well, and then they crashed and burned. So, what happened with kind of men's ministries, over the period when you were kind of writing and getting engaged in this book?
Promise Keepers crashed and burned in 1998 because of a fateful decision to stop charging admission to the events. The
Hmm.
thinking was, if we lower the barriers to entry, will allow more impoverished men, because it was a lot of middle class and upper class men driving for us country, and there was thought that if we take the admission away, we'll get more men. The exact opposite happened. Once they took the admission fee away, attendance imploded. And they learned something about men, a valuable lesson. If you don't charge a man something, he won't put any value on it.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I do a men's course, I charge $10, and it's just a nominal amount. But once a man lays his money down, he'll be there. And I say, hey, it's $10. If you make all 5 sessions, I give you your money back. A little aside there. What's happened in men's ministries since then? We haven't had as many high-profile men's ministries, but there's been a lot more foment, a lot more voices speaking
Mm-hmm.
into the men's space. Guys like Tony Evans. I've served on the board of the National Coalition of Ministries to Men. We have over 100 organizations that are out there doing ministry to men. So it's still happening. And by the way, Promise Keepers is going to have their first full-size stadium rally in over a decade, July 16th and 17th, 2021 at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. So Promise Keepers is coming back with one large stadium event. So, we'll see how it goes. I don't think we can judge the health of men's ministry based on large events. I think the real strength of men's ministry is how many guys are getting together for coffee and Bible study at Denny's or Panera Bread on a Saturday morning. How many young men are being discipled by the older men? There's a great new program called Better Man, where older men actually gather up a small group of men and disciple them through this video curriculum. And they absolutely will not proceed until each group has a mentor, a guy my age or up, in his 50s, 60s, or 70s, who wants to invest in men. So yeah, there is actually a lot of good activity going on in the men's ministry sphere. It may not be as high profile as it was during the Promise Keepers movement, but ministry to men is proceeding.
One of the things I observed that I think got very wrong in men's ministries and the church's approach to men. I maybe come back with a little different approach than you on this. Is the church seems to have gotten this idea along the way that the way you reach men is to be the drill sergeant, and it's like we're gonna be like, it's gonna be like Full Metal Jacket. We're gonna get in your face. Men want to be challenged, but in fact, all they do is sort of beat men up all day. Man up. Because how many man up sessions have there been? And it's like, here's how you're screwing up so bad. And the the predicate of the Promise Keepers seem to be that, like, well, men aren't keeping their promises and all this. And I say, well, wait a minute, women, initiate 70% of all divorces, but the church never has and never will have a ministry urging women to keep their promises. I always like to say, why does anybody
Right.
ever tell women to keep their promises? I do think there's this sense in which the church has basically been very, very negative. Even the people who were like famous for reaching men, like Mark Driscoll, he had this famous "How dare you" rant. He's going on and on and on, tearing men up. Matt Chandler ranting about boys who can shave. It does seem to me that they've really haven't. And I just look at how bad the church has done at reaching men, and I look at what Jordan Peterson's doing great. Joe Rogan's doing great. There's a lot of people out there that are doing great. And who are challenging, Peterson is challenging men in ways, but he's not just like blaming them for all the world's problems. You can tell he actually cares about these people and wants to build them up. It just seems to me that the church has really kind of never quite figured out how to crack the code on doing ministry to men.
My view on that is men do need the man up conversation, but it needs to come one-on-one from someone they trust. It doesn't need to be berating them from the pulpit.
Right. In front of your wife and kids.
Yeah. Let me emasculate you in front of your wife and kids. No. I mean, I agree with you. Even on Father's Day, we get beat up. Mothers are lionized. Men are challenged. So,
Right.
there is a place. I mean, there is a place for those man up conversations, but I do agree with you. I think the church has been too harsh on men, not encouraging enough. And Peterson, he definitely connects with men, because not because he necessarily takes men's side, but because he's understanding toward the challenges that men face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been, he's talking about the issues that men feel but don't have any forum to speak of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why he has been a success, and where maybe some reasons some of the church efforts have failed.
Yeah, I mean, if I would kind of be embarrassed. I mean, here's a guy that sold 3 million books and like selling out places, like what's going on. And now I personally find that a lot of these self-help guys, self-improvement people, they don't resonate with me necessarily, because so much of their shtick, and Peterson is a little bit less this way, but somewhat is this way. Is like it's all about relying on the self. You take a guy like Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. That's what.
Yeah.
Now I think Robbins actually has a predominantly female audience. I mean, the people that I've known who've been really into. So it's interesting to see which of these people attract the women, versus who attracts the men. There's got to be some like academic studies on that. But it is interesting to me. The other thing, and this is where I want to get into some of the stuff that was super prescient in your book. Is you make the argument, as I recall, that you framed as men really put a premium on excellence, and most church services are just not that excellent, and so and that you said, look, these mega churches are getting it right because the mega churches are the ones that are excellent, and they have the best production values and the best quality speaking, and how does excellence play into this?
Well, churches, we know how and why churches grow. 85% of church growth is driven by personal invitation. I call my friend up. Hey, you want to go with me? Almost none of it's walk-in. It's all, and especially when it comes to new Christians, 85% is personal invitation. Now, if I attend First Podunk Church with my 80 worshipers and the bad music and the kind of so-so sermon, I'm not going to invite my friend to that. If I attend 16,000 member megachurch, I know the music's going to be great. I know the sermon is going to be off the charts. I know the food service afterward is going to be excellent. I know everything. The campus is going to be clean. It's going to be an impressive facility. Now, these things sound so carnal, right? They're so unspiritual. But all you're doing is you're setting a table for a man to think, if I invite my friend, I won't be embarrassed. And so that's been the secret sauce of the megachurches. Everything is done with excellence. Men not only enjoy those things, but they feel confident inviting their friends to enjoy those things.
Mm-hmm.